let's just get this. 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Growing up in Queen Grahamstown as a little boy, TV was a luxury. You must be prepared to pay 50 cents to go and watch the TV.
So you had to wait for Dad to come home so you can take the battery out of the car, plug it on a television set, and there were a couple of TV shows that we all watched.
Without giving away my age, we all used to converge at the right time to watch Michael Knight.
Watching MacGyver was this thing, and watching Knight Rider.
Obviously, everyone had to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because the next day at school would be the hot topic of conversation.
It was called In the Heat of the Night. 70% white cast, and it was dubbed in Sesotho and Setswana. It was mind-boggling to hear everyone, all the characters speak all the different languages, but they didn't look like you.
The A-Team, those movies. I used to pretend when we were playing as Mr. T.
In the heat of the night.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised, on the playground is where I spend most of my days. Something like that.
MultiChoice started in a caravan in terms of Mnet in Randburg, as you know, when they launched the first pay TV operator in analog format. Our ingredient is that we are built on innovation, competitiveness, and driving for excellence in whatever that we do, and we are not afraid to fail. MultiChoice was the first digital television satellite outside of the US, which is phenomenal. We are proud of the transformation journey that the company has gone through over the years. We are level 1 contributor on Triple B. If in terms of Naspers ownership, we are 55.75% black. Today, we employ over 8,000 people. And out of the 8,000 people that we employ, 87% of those are black. And in terms of gender, over 50% of those are female. We are a company that is known for taking risks and going into territories that people have never gone into. Usually, pay TV, it was always about international content, Hollywood. We then said, let's start looking at how we can develop local content, and he eventually led us to launching Mzansi Magic, which shows over time, with a lot of investment and a lot of effort and focus into local production, it is the #1 channel on our platform.
MultiChoice as a company has done something magical in terms of local content. 10 years ago, when I started in television, it was an era of buying American content. And what they did when they entered into the market is realizing that their audience, irrespective of class, irrespective of LSM, they want to see their daily lives portrayed on television. And MultiChoice stepped into that vacuum and said, we will produce more content, which is local, and in doing that have really grown an entire television industry. Suddenly, producers had a platform to tell their stories. Suddenly, the industry became competitive, which meant that people now had jobs. My relationship with MultiChoice started as a scriptwriter when we were brought in by Ferguson Films to work on shows like Rockville, which gave birth to Igazi, which gave birth to the one-off miniseries The Gift, and then The Queen. And as writers, the channel saw something in us and decided to invest in us and propelled us to now become executive producers of our own telenovela called The River on One Magic.
Episode 1, 6.
Action! That was probably the biggest gamble I think the broadcaster has ever taken with us, but they were kind enough to create such strong support structures. And they themselves stepped up and said, we are going to help you pull it off, because if you succeed, we as an enterprise and as a business also succeed. Cheza Pictures was started by 2 scriptwriters who had a passion to one day change the face of television, and now currently has 80 people working for it to make one of the best television shows in the country. I love that, in that if you go to Alexander, everybody has a dish, and what you realize is that television is a necessity. It's no longer a privilege of the few.
Cut! Cut! Yes, that's the one, man!
Growing Growing up in a small town, a lot of people wouldn't really understand what it is that I wanted to do, but thank goodness for my parents' support. I finished film school in 2014, and then immediately after that, I wasn't really sure as to how do I get into the industry. I mean, I think a lot of people can resonate with this because you don't have experience, which is one of the driving forces in the industry. The MultiChoice Magic in Motion Academy is an extensive internship program where they select different graduates from all around the country. It bridges the gap between film school and industry experience. Such a great incubation where I was able to network with different industry experts and also build relationships. Myself and two partners who were also met during the Magic in Motion Academy were given the opportunity to pitch our company and hopefully get funding from Enterprise Development Program from MultiChoice. We were actually very successful, and that's when they provided us with the necessary funding and necessary resources to officially kickstart our company. We're all about being young, producing local content, telling our African stories, and who better than young people of South Africa to tell the stories.
Arutha is just one example of the many beautiful stories that came out of the Magic in Motion. She's producing great content for us, and we continue to support her to be able to run successful business.
There's this new generation of artists who are coming up, and they're sort of like the pulse of South Africa, and I'm really excited to be a part of that generation that's bringing in color into our country.
In terms of making sure that we grow local businesses, first of all, we took a conscious decision that all our decoders are going to be manufactured in the country. Over the years, we have grown this area.
Most of the people, they get really surprised. They think MultiChoice is importing this box from overseas or from China. For everyone's surprise, the decoder is produced locally and partly designed by our local engineers. MultiChoice has got over 20 years giving companies an opportunity to produce their boxes. In so doing, they've created jobs that are required in the electronics manufacturing. At the moment, we do have about 250 employees that are working here full-time. Not only manufacturing that MultiChoice has created opportunities for, also for the entire value chain. From logistics, moving the goods from Durban to our factory. We talk about processing, we talk about outbound logistics, and also there are jobs for warehousing.
We ended up creating a nice export market into the rest of Africa, into where we are operating, and created a lot of jobs. We believe that's the right strategy because it has worked really well for us.
TV, it's a communication tool, and it's a mind-opening instrument that every household should have. You don't know a joy when I walk into a retail shop and I know that this box comes from a factory.
Everybody that buys DSTV needs to get some installer coming into the house to do the installation. This is one area where we've seen people that have never had an opportunity creating a small business that will continue to grow. And we created a nice environment of MultiChoice agencies to be able to thrive by making sure that we have constant interaction with them. We give them the standard that they need to adhere to.
This is an industry that didn't exist before. My father, Gary Sr., started the company in 1995. They started off 2 installers, and today we have a little under 45 installers working for us. And we probably have about 15 staff members outside of those. We take in subscription of MultiChoice channels. Secondly, we do technical support. And then we've got our sales of DSTV products as well. Aerial and Satellite City started with one vehicle. That vehicle was the life of the family. So we used to get picked up at school, and we used to make sure that we were the last to come out so that we wouldn't be noticed being picked up in the installation bucket, jumping in the back. And ever since then, we've built up a fleet of 22 vehicles, so we've come a long way. Through working with MultiChoice as a strong partner, to date there's about 1,200 accredited installers and 123 DSTV agencies operating nationwide.
Enriching lives is a term that is all-encompassing of what we stand for. We make sure that we empower the people from the employees that work within MultiChoice. We give customers as much value as we possibly can and make sure that they get a good product for what they are paying for.
The exciting time for me personally was when you finally connect up the decoder and you switch it on, and the joy that you experience. It's way more than just watching TV. This decoder opens up a world of possibilities.
When you think about it, it's so much more than just colorful pictures on the screen. You're able to inspire that young child in a small town who I was growing up. As much as you might not really see where you're going, being able to identify with some of the content that we put out there, it is a kid's entire frame of reference. It's like a view into the world.
As a television producer, I'm really proud to be working with a broadcaster like MultiChoice. It is always ahead of the curve of where television is going. To know that as a young television producer, I'm part of something big and something that is really going to revolutionize television, not only in South Africa, but in the whole continent, that makes me really proud.
They are a market leader, and they took a strategy to be leading in all spaces. One, in equity, and also lead in employment equity, and lead actually in enterprise development.
If you look at what we need to do as business to ensure that South Africa becomes a successful country, we should all be looking at how can we make sure that we assist each other as South Africans to be able to make sure that we grow the economy, we grow our industries, and make sure that skills are transferred to a people that were previously marginalized. And that is very critical and important as a country to be able to build on that inclusiveness and make sure that we take people from grassroots level and bring them into the fore of the economy of the country.
I am a girl that is very ambitious. I come from a very small township named Vosloorus. So in the year grade 12, I wasn't so sure what I wanted to do. But I was so into IT. Like, my family was like, Naledi, you can't do IT. I was so confused. I thought to myself that, am I going to be one of the stats of being an unemployed youth at home doing nothing? Then came a youth leader from church. He told us that we have a learnership for T-Systems ICT Academy. I applied. And then I got a call from T-Systems telling me that my application was successful. It was exciting and I was happy, but at the same time, my mom asked me, are you ready? This is God answering you that this is what you have to go into, IT.
The problem that we are having in the country, if you look at what are the skills that are required, technology is in great demand. And so developing the academy and setting up a learnership in the company was to be able to say, really, let's give young people and young women opportunities to be able to play in this field, to make a difference in the country, and to explore opportunities for themselves.
When I started at T-Systems on my internship, I started as a service desk agent. And a year after that, I got promoted into a quality coordinator. So we listen to the calls and we conduct coaching, we conduct counseling, we also provide training. I'm from the Northern Cape, a small town not far from Kimberley called Appelsburg, very small. So the opportunities there are on zero. I had to finish matric and come look for other opportunities elsewhere. I got a job at Nedbank as a legal controller. So I worked there for over 2 years and legal was not my route. I always wanted to do IT.
T-Systems has created the ICT Academy so that we can bridge the skills gap and provide relevant skills to the youth of South Africa to enable them to become part of the economy. Not just giving a handout to somebody, but rather teaching them how to use the technology that is available currently.
With the Academy, we partnered with the training providers, and all these partnerships enable us to effectively deliver good content that is relevant and that makes these students to be able to have internationally recognized qualifications, and therefore that's why you find that more than 85% of them can be placed, not only in T-Systems, but generally in the market.
When I started here, I got a friend. It was a happy place because the trainers also welcomed us with warm hands.
They have to study, submit assessments on a weekly basis for the national qualification, as well as prep for the international exams, which are normally done after about 3 to 4 months of vigorous training. And obviously we on site have prac labs, and they basically do simulated work there, as well as some of the students go to T-Systems in Midrand and they shadow the employees there in the technical teams.
Now I know how to assemble a PC, how to install an operating system, how to troubleshoot a PC when it's not working. When I went back home, I told my mom, "Mom, this is what I want to do. IT is what I am going into."
Students who come through this academy, the fact that more than 85% of them can be placed in a job, that is phenomenal. That is addressing unemployment in an area such as IT that is taking the country forward, which is, this is the IT age. The fact that 50% of these are ladies, are young women, I always believe that if you economically empower a woman, you've done 10 times more.
One of our guiding principles is to learn and grow. So yes, we're living by that every day. There's always room for opportunities and we utilize them. Being a woman in the ICT is not easy. Like every day we still face challenges. In terms of women empowerment and development leadership, T-Systems does really a good job. The impact that it's had on my life is the success that I have come to at this point. It is amazing.
I'm from a very disadvantaged village. It's not easy to find jobs. And it was getting stressful for me because my friends were continuing with studying, some were working, some were just successful, and I was just there doing nothing.
The idea was to look at how do we take young people leaving the school system and get them connected into this economy. And we have a number of problems that the country is facing that we need creative and innovative solutions for, and yet we're not tapping into all our young people. And so for us, the rural space is a place we really have to look at to say, who are these young people? Can we start to give them the skills? Because in there we might find the solution to some of the things that we're looking for.
I started studying here at Hazelview Digital Learning Campus. I was 22 when I first came here, and it was my first time to use a proper computer, a fully functioning computer, because we will find computers that are broken and pretend as if it's working. But when I got here, I was so amazed. There are tons of well-functioning computers and you can do a lot of things with a computer.
We wanted to create a campus, a digital campus, that was peri-urban to rural so that we could give opportunity to these young people. They didn't have to leave here to go to an urban center to go and study. We found in T-Systems a corporation that resonated with what our mission was.
My first class, the facilitator said that I must touch a monitor. I was like, there's no monitor here. At high school, we only know that monitors are the people that leads the class. So it was a bit hard for me until she told me that a monitor is the screen of the computer.
When we began, this was a banana packing shed. It had no walls, it was dusty. The foresight to look at that with us from T-Systems to say, we can turn this into something wonderful. We don't want to lose our Africanness. We want to make sure that we're still learning from our teachers and elders under that tree, but now the connections in the classroom can be anywhere in the world, and I think that's been the shift.
If you now look at Hazelview, it was really around how do you set up the partnership with that community in a way that helps that community to be sustainable for themselves. You have this general move from rural to urban, and why is that a move? Because people need jobs, opportunities, etc.
We started to look at how do we make sure that it is sustainable long term, and that's where T-Systems stepped in and said, well, let's see if we can outsource some of our service desk to Hazyview, and we started a service desk.
I was just a person who was still marketing for a job, so I got the opportunity here, and that was a breakout. When was the last time you visited?
There's a very big difference between wanting a job and starting a career. And if we create opportunities in these rural spaces, we start careers for these young people, which one, keep them in the rural space because they can have better lives for their families. And so we can do a cost-effective, excellent service desk right here in our own country, giving our young people those opportunities for the jobs, but starting to be competitive on the price side, which I think is also important.
What it means for me working around home, I'm supporting my own community. I get to see my family every day than working in Joburg where you will always communicate with your family over the phone. It saves me a lot of money. Home is where heart is. So to me it means so much.
In addressing the skill shortage, we're not just looking at training a person. It's allowing that person to grow as an individual, provide that person with an opportunity to get a job, and that person further goes and supports their family.
For me to see the journey from a young person who walks in the front door on that first day, who is watching their hands when they double-click that mouse, has never been on a computer before, to stepping out on that graduation day. I mean, I feel like the mother of about 300 students on graduation day.
From a year back, I was so miserable. So being here felt like I'm home. In our class, we learn in a fun way, so it's easy for me to understand everything. It's so fascinating, and I've fallen in love with computers now.
If she did not have the kind of opportunities that she was exposed to, she would have had to move to Johannesburg, look for work, etc. But now that she's there, she can actually take care of her family. So I think the life is significantly different today because of that opportunity.
When I was in grade 12, the only thing I thought about was going to varsity and studying for 4 years, then I get a job, then I'm done. But it was so different how I experienced coming to T-Systems. Now I could say I have grown, and my parents are so proud of me.
All you need to do is drive through any township during the day, and you really realize how much more there is to be done in this country. And so the story of Naledi is so similar to the story of other young people. This opportunity has taken her out of her trajectory and put her on a path where she has opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity.
I just bought the Wi-Fi. I never even know how to connect it. She did it for the family, in fact, because she's not doing only for her, but now she's helping us as a family, so that's great.
The sustainability of this country depends on the right type of decision making, the right type of leadership, and it is time for leaders to stand for the right thing, because it's not just about now. It's about the time that my grandchildren are born. What do they have to look forward to?
The school benefits a lot of people from around because it has opened so much opportunities for young unemployed people to come here, learn more skills, learn new skills, and it has empowered me a lot because I never thought that I would do IT. I see myself in ICT from now onwards.